That's good today. The sun is up, the drinks are hot, and now it's time for our first cup. Today, divinely human. So, I have a morning routine that I do just about every morning, no matter where I am. But because most of the time I'm here in Long Beach, that routine is working out, meditating, and filling up my voice notes on my phone with all sorts of ideas and whatever is happening in the world of ADHD squirrels. I like to meditate near water, kind of like get that background like brown noise going on. But my normal spot wasn't available to me last Thursday because the Long Beach Grand Prix is in town, and actually you might be able to hear some of it in the background. Um, but the Grand Prix actually builds a racetrack on all the streets, or not all the streets, but a bunch of the streets in downtown Long Beach around the convention center and the ocean. And so I wasn't able to get to where I wanted to get to, long story short. So I took a detour out towards Alamitos Beach. And on the far eastern side of that beach, there's a kind of like a path, right? An asphalt path, paved path, goes 150-ish feet from like the beach out into the water. It's pretty nice. You can, watch the sunrise there. It's a nice place to be. So, I've made my detour. I'm kind of like trying to get into the mood, right? Because, my routine's been futzed with. And about halfway down this asphalt path, I noticed that there is a homeless man kind of doing his thing there in the morning, right? He's looks like he's younger than me by a little bit, maybe, but he's black, so I don't know. He's got hair and it's twisted into cones, and some of the tips of the cones are like kind of graying. Wearing shorts, wearing tennis shoes, has on a couple shirts and a hoodie, put together, but clearly unhoused, right? Then I look towards the end of the walkway, and there's a sleeping bag and a pillow that I see at the end. And so I'm like, okay, just check with this guy. Say, hey, man, um, I was hoping to meditate down at the end of the path here. Is that okay with you? Is that going to, interrupt anything you got going on? And this guy stops kind of futzing with whatever he's futzing with. He says, no, 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 cool. And he goes back to doing whatever it is he's doing. I don't know if you've ever seen this sort of thing, but it's like a lot of unhoused people, a lot of homeless people do this thing where they're kind of just messing around with things, where it's kind of like they don't want to be seen. It was kind of the vibe that I got from this guy. But I get to the end of the walkway, and I'm looking out at the ocean, trying to figure out where I want to sit, like what I want to be facing when I'm meditating. And then that guy comes up a few feet away from me, and he gets on the ground. He kneels on the ground, and he puts these Adidas shoes. They're like size 12-ish on the ground between him and me. And I look down and I'm like, all right, well, is this guy just screwing with me, or is he trying to make some space for his own thing? I don't know, whatever. So I move a little bit away. By this time, the guy's head is on the ground, and he kind of looks up and he picks up the shoes and he puts them closer to me. And he says, I want you to have these. And so I sit down. Don't detect anything bad off this guy, but it's something, right? There's something going on here. So I sit down and I say, "Oh man, I appreciate it, but like, I've got really flat feet and I've got these special shoes and they've got these special inserts and, I don't even, it's like, oh man, no, no, your shoes look way too small," he tells me. I'm like, no, no, I promise you, they're not super small. I've just got these like German duck feet and I've got really flat feet. So that's what I've got going on. And besides, you probably need them more than I do, man. And he looks at me again and he says, I know who you are. I want you to have these. I protest again one more time. Like, bro, like I don't need them. I promise. It's like, no, no, no. You don't understand. Like, I don't want anyone else to have these. I don't want anyone else to steal them. I want you to have them. I know who you are. At this point, I really don't see any other option. I said, okay. I pick them up from in between us and I put them in front of me and I say, thank you. And then he touches his head to the ground again and he says, thank you. And then he gets up and he goes back to doing what he's doing. I sit there for a second. I'm like, wait, no, actually, I'm here to hold on. I'm here to meditate. Should probably do that. So I you know close my eyes, get ready, and then I do it. And when I open my eyes, this man is gone. And I say the man is gone because physically he's not there anymore. Interestingly enough, the sleeping bag and the pillow are still there also. So I don't know, maybe those weren't his. But even though he's gone, I I don't I'm still I'm still in that interaction. Like even thinking about it now, right? Um, Still kind of comes back to me, and you know these shoes are just sitting in front of me, and I'm just like, wow. Just considering what had happened, right? There's a few thoughts going through my head. Number one, I'm not a Christian anymore. Haven't been for a long time. Haven't believed in any sort of Abrahamic God for a long time. But I've got that Bible training. That stuff never really goes away, right? And one of these verses pops into my head. Maybe you've heard it before too. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, this guy's really like he either sized me up right or saw something or whatever. Because like, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, like my feet for my height, for someone who's 6'2", like most people don't have like size 10 feet. They're size 10, 10 and a half feet. Like usually they're an 11 or bigger, like a 12. So points for paying attention there, my man. Um, but then I started thinking about that last thing, and I know who you are. I know who you are. Sitting there and I'm thinking about that. And it's like, all right, there's probably a couple of things that could be going on there. One, he's seen me out on the beach or in downtown talking to homeless people or putting out literal and figurative fires. And I've just never noticed him before. Totally possible. There's a lot of people out there. That's number one. Number two, okay, well, a lot of people who are on the street, a lot of the men out there talking about a lot of spiritual things, I think other people would call them, right? But they talk about good and bad and spirits and gods and Jesus and all this stuff. So maybe he saw something there. I don't know. But then the third part hits me. Third idea hits me. And like, maybe he did this just because I acknowledged him. Like, just because I didn't expect him to get out of the way, right? And if you've seen me talk about my interactions with uh, people on the street before, this idea comes up time and again, right? They just want to have a conversation, or they're used to being invisible, and this guy was not invisible to me because I mean he was out there, he was waking up too, he was doing his thing. I didn't want to get in the way of that. And like, did me doing that, did he feel like he had to reciprocate that very basic kindness? The truth is I will never know his reasoning. I'll probably never know his reasoning, right? Like I'm not in the guy's head. I'm not in the guy's heart. I don't know what's in there. Um, and I may be a student of behavioral science, but it doesn't mean that we can know anything with absolute certainty that resides in any individual, right? But I do know that I didn't see that guy have anything else other than the clothes on his back. I do know that, you know, he really wanted me to have those shoes. And like I said before, I don't believe in God, any Abrahamic God. I'm not a Christian anymore, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that humans are capable of great things, that there might actually be a higher power and that there is a higher power in ourselves and in our interactions. So for my part, I choose to see what that man did as divinely human. And please remember that no matter what you've heard or what I've said, death comes for us all, and a closed mouth never gets fed. Take care of yourselves. See you soon.